In this video, we're going to build the upper cage for the C80 as well as the base and mid kits. This is a pre-production camera, so you won't have this giant white sticker on the bottom, but the installation is all the same. So we will align the locating pins and screws with the bottom of the camera. That should just fit nicely there. We can tighten these two 1/4-20s by hand first, and then use a 4mm Allen wrench to finish tightening these down. You've probably noticed that we have the HDMI clamp already installed here, and it's a little bit easier to put that on before we put the base on the camera, and that is a 3mm Allen wrench. Next, we'll add the left side bracket here, and there are locating tabs on the bracket and on the bottom of the upper cage here. Then we'll add our two M5 screws, and those use a 4mm Allen wrench as well. These are the shorter black screws that come with your kit. Okay. Now, one thing is this thumb screw pinches a rod. So if you intend to use a rod through here, you might want to make sure that this thumb screw is set to pinch the rod in this orientation before we put the top plate on. You can pull this out and ratchet it. It's just a little bit easier to do it now. So that's a good spot for the thumb screw. Next, we'll add our C80 top plate. This has a captive 1/4-20 here, and that aligns with the Canon striped rosette here. And locating tabs on the side of the top plate here. So we can start this screw. It's a 4mm Allen wrench. I'm not going to tighten it all the way yet, just a little bit snug. Then we will add our two longer M5 socket cap screws into the hole here. And again, this is another 4mm Allen wrench. Okay, and we can go back and snug these up. Now, if you intend to use the C80 handle that comes with the camera, we will need to remove this cable clip for it to fit inside the top plate. And that's just a jeweler's style Phillips screwdriver. Okay. Once that's off, this will just align with the top plate with that striped rosette pattern. And then you can tighten the 1/4-20. This special 15mm rod with a 1/4-20 and a notch here is included with the upper cage, as well as this shoe mount with Area 3/8 and Canon mic mount adapter. So we're going to install these two things together and then put it on the cage. So I like to align this perpendicular to the notch that's on the rod here. Actually, I have that backwards. So in this orientation, and then just kind of keep them close together on the end here. And then we will slide this into our sideways 15mm opening. And the reason we have it in this configuration, you can have the microphone mount here, and you can use the Canon included screws, but we also include some if you lose these for whatever reason. And that's just a Phillips screwdriver, the ones that come with Canon. If you use the ones that we provide, it's a 3mm Allen wrench. And you can put this back onto a 15mm rod. But we can also add our AB4, which is the dual mini XLR adapter. So what we're going to do is first pop these two microphone dust covers off. And those can go back on easily. It's not a big deal to put those back on, just to demonstrate. So if you want to remove this at some point and put your camera back to normal, you can. So just align those two, snap them on, and then we will route this cable around. And I like to loop this one time around the rod just to help organize the cable. And then this notch corresponds to the notch on the XLR body here. So we'll align our 1/4-20, 4mm Allen wrench, Now the nice thing about having the XLR adapter on a rod is you can change the position of this depending on if you're needing to orient the XLRs in a certain direction or the distance to the lens center. The next thing we're going to do is add our top handle. If you have the mid kit, it comes with the top handle and the rod bracket. If you have the base kit, it's just the top handle. And then this is an ARCA dovetail slot. And we want to make sure that this is open enough for us to get the handle in. To open the jaws further, you can either pull this thumb screw out and bypass that safety pin, or you can actually just push this in and open the jaws a little bit. We'll slide this on. The click lets you know that it's locked on there so it won't fall off. You can choose your position and then set the clamp for your thumb screw, set the thumb screw position for your clamp. So typically once you find the right force on here, you can just leave this thumb screw as it is, do just like a half turn basically, and pull it off. The mid kit also comes with the top plate, so you can switch them out using the same method. All right, we can add the base plate to the bottom now. So this is an ARCA dovetail on the bottom, and our baseline 15mm base plate has an ARCA dovetail slot. So again, we'll make sure that this clamp is open enough to clamp onto the dovetail. So that will snap on, and again, it's captive there. And we will tighten this ARCA thumb screw on the side here. So again, we can pull this out to bypass it and find the right spot. And then you can do like a half turn and remove the base plate. Like that. Okay. Okay, the next thing is the area dovetail that comes with the baseline base plate. And this is a top loading dovetail, so you want to make sure that this jaw is open. So if it's popped like this, you can just push the silver button on the side here, and we'll drop down. That pop lets you know it's in place and locked on there, so it won't fall out. You can choose your position and then lock this thumb screw. If you're using an RF to some other lens adapter, and it has a 1/4 foot, you can use this lens support post system on the bottom of the upper cage. And there are 3 lengths included with the kit, long, medium, and short. In this case, we'll use our long post, and we will align that with the bottom of the lens adapter. This is a 3mm Allen wrench to loosen this adapter piece. And then we can use a flathead screwdriver to thread that into our lens adapter. Then tighten, just snug that up, snug the front up. We don't want to put too much pressure on the lens adapter itself, so going around the horn and just tightening those up one at a time is the best idea. This ARCA dovetail can go back on here now, and this can actually be turned sideways if you want to use it on an RS2, 3, or 4 without a base plate or anything. 4mm Allen wrench, tighten these back down. To use the HDMI clamp, we include inserts that reduce the opening size, because not every HDMI connector is the same. So the easiest thing to do is check your adapter in the sleeve before you install it on the camera. That's labeled 8, and that's a little tight. So we'll try 9. Okay, that's perfect. So we will use 9. And this is a flexible material, so once you push this in, it will stay in there, it won't fall out. And then we can add our HDMI cable end into the camera and then tighten this thumb screw. Now you have a strain relief on your HDMI. An optional item is the right side cage, and that is a kit that includes a special rod the right side L bracket and then a rod clamp here, as well as the sideways 15mm special rod here. To do the right side cage, we're going to unlock this guy, unwind our cable. We're going to temporarily remove this shoe mount adapter. It's a 3mm Allen wrench. We will put this through our right side L bracket piece, make that flush, and then we'll use that same 3mm Allen wrench. You can see it there, right there. We'll tighten that guy down. We'll set this aside for a second, and then we will add, and it's a little hard to see in here because of the shadows, but there are 2 M4 holes and locating pins slots here, and that corresponds to this special rod clamp. So we will align that with the cage back, 3mm Allen wrench, and this goes through the slots into 2 recessed screws. So you can see that right there. This just tightens down. And it's important for this next step that we get the orientation of this rod correct. Because when you have 15mm rods in your base plate like this, let's put these in first just so you can see what I mean. You want this rod to pass over those iris rods. So this slot needs to be parallel to the ground. And once that's parallel, I'll actually just lock this thumb screw so we can build the rest of the cage more easily. Now we've got our pre-built L bracket here, and we'll put the 15mm rod back in this sideways opening up top. And the second rod on the bottom goes into the side of the L bracket. So that just slips on there. And I'd like to first tighten the rod flush with this L bracket down here. So once that's lined up, we can use a 3mm Allen wrench. Tighten this down. Okay. Now we can route our cable back around. Go one time around that rod again, just for clean cable management, and then back into the side of the camera for the mini XLRs. So, great thing about this, you can choose the position of the right side bracket in relation to the lens axis. To do that, unlock this thumb screw here, which that's already unlocked, okay. And then this thumb screw here, and now we can set our distance here. So it's completely toolless, so if you're shooting and you want to, let's say, use this as a secondary grip, you can actually grab the cage like this. It's great because you can still have access to all your buttons, controls, your LCD, which this hinge, much better than the C70, my goodness. Thank you, Canon. Okay, but then in a more tight configuration, you really have access to the camera grip, which I love. So you can add battery plates, wireless transmitters, things like that, and still have a holdable camera. All right, that's it. Canon C80.